Welcome to NRS YouTube channel. Dear students, in the previous class we discussed regarding uh, what are the different kinds of the characteristics of an entrepreneurship we discussed. So in the characteristics of an entrepreneurship we discussed, that is, we discussed purposeful activity and creative activity, risk bearing activity, organizing, gap filling. Okay, so today we'll see that the dynamic process, the sixth one, is the characteristics of an entrepreneur, and next initiative taking, multi-dimensional, right? So dynamic process. So what is the meaning of a dynamic process? So entrepreneurship thrives on changes in environment. These changes create opportunities for entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs themselves are also change agents. So dynamic process in the sense, so the entrepreneur, when he develop, when he organize, when he launch his organization or a company or a business enterprise, so he has to adapt with the changes comes in an environment, right? So especially a manufacturing enterprise is having a direct proportional to the environment changes. Suppose in the production, for example, you can take example as a sugar factory or any the plastic factory or any aluminum factories. So that the especially the manufacturing enterprises are depend upon the raw materials. Okay, so due to the changes comes in an environment, so that it may be affect with the raw material, and when it is affect to the raw material, and it is going to affect the manufacturing processes. So that the whenever the changes is made in an environment, the being an entrepreneur, he has to implement, or he has to uh, adjust with the changes which is comes in an environment. So that dynamic process. Next we have initiative taking. So initiative taking means entrepreneurship involves taking initiative. So that regarding this already we discussed regarding that initiation. So being an entrepreneur, he has to take the initiative step, he has to take the first step towards the it may be anything, right? So it is not think that whenever he get a success he has to come front, and when he got a failure he will not able to know that comes in a front line. So it's not like that. So it may be the failure or success, the entrepreneur has to take the responsibility, and he has to comes uh, in a first uh, in a front line, right? So being an entrepreneur, he is the front line warrior, right? Whether it is a success or failure. So that is initiative taking process. So next we have multi-dimensional entrepreneurship. So in the multi-dimensional entrepreneurship has several dimensions, example economic, social, psychological, and cultural, etc. So multi-dimensional in the sense, when he develop, when he launch his company or when he start his business enterprises, so that uh, that he has to adopt, and he has to look at all the angles. It may be the point of economic, or it may be the point of social or psychological or cultural, right? So why? Because whenever in your company number of employees they are working in your company, so that each and every employee has its own that personal life, he has his own family. So that being an economical condition or being a social person, right? So what we call it as a man is a social animal. So that entrepreneur has to think about all these circumstances, whether it is economical condition or social or psychological, or whether it is a cultural. So entrepreneur has a multi-dimensional worker. Okay, so these are the characteristics we have regarding the entrepreneurship. Okay, so next we have role of an entrepreneur. Okay, so what are the roles of an entrepreneur? The various roles of an entrepreneur may be classified as described as here. So what he has given: entrepreneur, entrepreneurial functions, promotional functions, managerial functions, and commercial functions. So they all comes under the role of an entrepreneur. Okay, so being an entrepreneur, it is not the thing that you have to sit in a chair, right? So being an entrepreneur, you have so much of a role that he has to fulfill to develop, to get a more profit in the business activity. So the first one is entrepreneurial functions. So the first one is innovation, risk taking, organization building. So these are the role comes under entrepreneurial function. And in the promotional functions, we have discovery of an idea, detailed investigation, assembling resources, financing the proposition. So these are the roles comes under a role called promotional functions. Next we have managerial functions. In the managerial functions, we have the planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling, coordination of in between the employees, or in between the higher officer and employees, right? So next we have last one, commercial functions. So in the commercial functions, comes under productions, marketing, personal, accounting, and finance. So these are the different kinds of roles we have. And being an entrepreneur, he has to, you know, must obey with all the roles. Okay, so he has to take the risk taking, he has to take the risk. He may be the organizer, he may be the, you know, that look at the controlling or coordination of employees. He has to look upon the financial and accounting, right? So being an entrepreneur, he has to follow all the rules, right? Okay, so the first one I will take, that is entrepreneurial roles, that is innovation. So what is innovation? An entrepreneur is a change agent. He introduced something new in some branch of economic activity, right? So depend upon the customer requirement in the market, he has to think about what type of product I need to launch, and what type of technology I need to implement in my company, right? So why? Because as you know that today's technology, tomorrow it is old, right? So in order to reach the customer requirement, he has to think, he has to innovate, he has to adopt a new technologies in his company or to his product. So it may be a new product or service, a new method of production, distribution, opening of new market, discovery of new sources of raw material, a new form of organization, a new combination of means of production, etc. In fact, innovation is the hallmark of entrepreneurship, right? So when a company, it is having a traditional way of process, right? So suppose we have, imagine just we have on a company, and 10 years back what we have the technology, or 10 years back what you have the architectural procedure of working. Suppose if we have come up with the same activity or same mentality after 10 year or 20 years, so that it will be, definitely it will affect to the company or profit of the company, right? So why? Because there is no innovation in your company, or if there is no innovation in your business activity, then you will maybe the lag behind with the technology. So it will be directly, it will be affect to the profit of your company. So that so everything has to be innovate in idea. Being an entrepreneur, he has to think more, he has to think that how can I implement these that ideas to the my company. And we have to think that suppose if I implement these kind of technology or these kind of thoughts in my company, so what will be the result, right? So being an entrepreneur, you have to predict your success and failure in future. Okay, so this is innovation. So next we have risk taking. So in the risk taking, uh, it is obviously, being an entrepreneur, you have to take the risk and assuming responsibility for the loss that may take place due to contingencies. And entrepreneurs pay wages or salary to the employee, rent to the landlord, and interest the lenders. After making this payment, nothing may be left as profit. So no risk, no gain is the saying in business, right? So if you want to if you want to make it a risk, or if you want to get the more profit in a business, so that you need to take the risk, whether it is a financial point of view, whether it is a that employment point of view, so that you need to take the risk, right? So the risk will be take gives the result. It may be the failure or success, right? And if you no need, if you are not dare to take the risk, then you will not get a success, right? And even when you have participated in that, then only you will get something result, whether it is success or failure, but you will get a result, right? If you are not participated, or if you are not taking the risk, then you will not get anything, even you will not learn anything in a business activity. So that taking risk is must. And here he has given no risk no gain, right? If you take the risk, something you will get. If you are success, then well and good. If you are not get the success, you will learn something from that particular process. So that risk taking is also one point of entrepreneurial role. Okay, so in the next class we'll discuss remaining. Okay, thank you.